Good morning, everyone. Pippa, Gemma, Kirikou, good morning. Sorry you didn't sleep very well, Pippa. I hope the rest of your move goes smoothly. Kirikou, sounds like you're in for a nice winter storm. Yay! 5 to 8 inches of snow with a whole lot of ice. Nope. You can keep that weather where you are. I don't want any of that. Oh, thank you, Pippa. It's a balmy 34 degrees here this morning. Mostly cloudy. Chance of rain later on today, but definitely no 5 to 8 inches of snow or ice. I'm okay with driving in the winter weather, but not ice. Ice is not fun. Well, thank you for sharing the stream, Gemma. Appreciate it. Yes, as Kitty Q says, make sure you're on all chat, depending upon your actual what device you're using. You may see live chat or top chat. If that are the two options, click on live chat. Good morning, Kevin Brand, all the way from South Carolina. Good morning. You got your generator out yesterday and have plenty of gas and ways to stay warm just in case. There you go. Have a backup plan in case the power goes out. I have two portables, but we never use them here. The only time I ever use them is what I have one that's in my camper, and I have another one that's portable Honda that I can hook up to the house if I needed to, but we're good. But I hope everyone has had a wonderful week. Happy Christmas and New Year. Hope that everybody was able to enjoy the time, relax. I know a lot of people get worked up over the holidays, and what they get worked up over is not really important in the grander scheme of things in life. Francie, good morning. As long as you can have coffee, the family will be fine. Here you go. And Sprinkled Donut, good morning and welcome to this morning's Page 2 news to both of you. I hope you both had a great week. I'm going to give it another 2 minutes here, and then we're going to get the crime recap going. Waiting for everybody to get their notifications, get their cup of coffee or tea or whatever they're drinking in the morning. Rackart, good morning. Oh no, my bad. Will and gang. Yeah, Will and Grace. That wasn't a bad show. I got a kick out of Grace in her mean-spiritedness. Another minute, and we'll get going. Hopefully, Rykard doesn't have to drive through any winter weather. Need help doing a thumbnail for my video. You suck at thumbnails? So do I. My initial impression ratio, Gemma, is only 17.5%. The people who see, when you do the comparison of two different thumbnails next to each other with the same topic, only 17.5% click on my thumbnail. That's pretty damn low. I still try. You got to try. All right, let's get this going. Page 2 news. Page 2 news highlights the true crime stories that are often overlooked and underreported by mainstream media. These cases, while lacking sensational headlines, carry significant importance and profound impacts in their community. Each story on page 2 news is supported by at least 3 verified sources, ensuring the most accurate and reliable information. Thank you for joining us today for today's edition of page 2 news. This past week, 99.5% of mainstream media still covered the healthcare murder of the CEO. 97% covered the New Year's Eve attack in New Orleans and in Las Vegas, while 76% of the outlets were saying that the attacks were more than one person at each event and hinting that they were connected to each other. 76%. Even though even they had no information that connected them, people started, speculating. The one in New Orleans, is it connected to the Trump, Cybertruck, explosion? They started making that, okay, America's under attack again, working people up into a lather, because that's what sells the evening news and ad spaces on the evening news, and you may not even realize what they're doing to you. First one is Yolanda Saldivar, or how you pronounce that. This is the lady who murdered Selena, the singer, in 1995. She has filed for parole in the state of Texas. In her documents, she noted that she has a bounty on her head and needs to be released underneath a compassionate release. Now, in the state of Texas, if you are up for parole, it's pretty much normal that you, as the parolee, if you are seeking parole, you file for that you want to be heard when you become eligible. You file the paperwork that you want to be considered for parole 6 months prior. So her 6 month will come up in the month of March. Right now, it's hard to say if she would be granted parole in the state of Texas. Normally, they are denied the first time around. So make sure to follow this case in 2025 in March, like I said before, and see if she is granted parole. But again, she has filed a parole underneath it, saying that she is rehabilitated. She needs compassionate release because she has a bounty on her head. Because up until a year ago, other inmates there did not know what she was in prison for. They knew she was in for murder, but they didn't know who she actually murdered. But now they know because of as the closer it got to the parole date, they started putting her name and her picture in the paper and saying, "Ha, this is the lady who killed Selena." So now she's saying there's a bounty on her head and she wants to be released. So, rehabilitated, bounty on her head, and she wants to be released from prison. So we're gonna have to wait and see if she actually does get released. I don't think she's going to be. I think she's gonna have to serve more of her sentence, probably another 2 to 4 years. Next, screw you and your rights. Ohioans may soon have to pay $750 to get a copy of dash cam footage from police, the same amount if you want or need body cam footage. All thanks to free-loving Ohio Governor Mike DeWine, all while making it easier at the same time for the state to use the same evidence against you to get a conviction. Mike DeWine office said this is meant to stop people from abusing the footage for their own gain. What? Who is? How many people will be unable to afford this? How do you make this fair for the poor and middle class? There isn't any way for for that to happen, and that is the point. He doesn't want you to have access to it. If you go, let's say, for instance, you get pulled over and the cop says he saw you throw your baggie of meth on the floor behind the seat or hide a gun underneath the passenger seat so it wasn't within your reach. And his chest, cam footage shows that you never actually did either one of the two, or the dash cam footage shows that you were standing outside the car in front of the car the whole time and you had no way of throwing a baggie of meth in the back seat or hiding a gun in the car. The state can use that dash cam and that body cam footage to convict you of the crime. Who are you gonna believe in a court of law? Law enforcement officers, the district attorneys, the state, who says that you did, or if you had one piece of evidence and it happened to be that body cam footage or dash cam footage that exonerated you and said, look, there's no way for you to have ever done this. They now want to charge you $750, you and your defense attorney, to get a copy of it. You don't have the $750? Too damn bad. They can still use it to, against you. And you have to have a copy of it. You have to pay for it as a defense attorney. Yeah, you can see it. They'll let you watch it in court, but how are you going to send that out to an expert to have it, the footage, is it authentic? Was it edited? Is there like a time jump in there somewhere? But you have to pay for it. Now, likewise, the ACLU has argued that this point, when it comes to defending yourself, if you're poor or middle class on a case, say like, you were being aggressive with the officer and you pulled away from him, so he tased you 3 times, and then handcuffed you and then threw you in the back of the car and then, stomped on your head a couple of times on the way back to the squad car. All right, let's just say something like that, is dreadful and as awful as it is. Let's say that it happened. All right. Your defense attorney, your public defender, because obviously you probably don't have the money if you're poor or middle class to hire, private counsel. They get X amount of dollars to defend you on a case. Anything more than that, they have to go to the state, file the paperwork for additional funds, and it's not guaranteed that they'll ever give them. Let's say they need to hire 2 medical experts to testify in that situation, that you have permanent brain damage from what happened, or you really do have nerve damage. They spend that money on hiring those experts to come in to testify what really happened. Now they've eaten up over half of your total amount. Let's say the state drags it out for a year. Your attorney, your public defender, has been working on the case for a year. He needs to be paid. At the end of it, there's only X amount of dollars left. Where are you going to come up with the $750? Start a GoFundMe, because you may have to, in order to come up with the money to pay the state. But good old Mike DeWine wants to charge you because he says that people are abusing the actual, chest cam footage and the dash cam footages from officers interacting with the public. In violation of your rights. But this whole thing has just been flying right underneath the radar and nobody is paying attention to it at all. And it's not right. You should have access to the same evidence that is going to be used against you. And you shouldn't have to pay extra for it. And that's written right in law. They can give it to you during discovery, but in that aspect, but they don't have to give you the original copy to be examined by an expert, which no expert would ever get on the witness stand and say, oh, I examined the copy. Who's going to believe that you examined a copy and it wasn't altered before they got it? No, you need an expert to examine the original, and they're not going to give it to you unless you pay the $750. Next, news you most likely missed. Kayla Peer, a school bus driver was arrested and charged with DUI after driving a bus full of children to school. And she was supposed to drive children home. She was so drunk on the body cam footage, you can't understand anything she says. The school nor the police have released her official blood or alcohol concentration yet. However, an officer who wished to remain anonymous said she had to be at least twice the limit by the time she was booked into the jail. She couldn't walk straight. She had red eyes, extremely blurred speech, and she refused to take any additional testing at the police department, which was an additional breathalyzer test. They give you a breathalyzer test there at the roadside or when she was stopped, but she refused to take any additional testing at the actual jail itself. But this lady, while everybody else was paying attention to other things, this lady was out there driving around your children, your grandchildren. She was so loaded that, again, the officer who wanted to remain anonymous, who made the statement to the Associated Press, said that she had to be at least twice the legal limit at the time when they, met her at the jail. He was not the original arresting officer. So in case you look this case up and you're like, it's got to be one of those two officers. No, this was an officer who was not one of the arresting officers who made the statement. So good luck with that one. Don't forget, if you have a story that you would like to see me cover here or look into, you can contact me at 411 Now Business, all one word. It does not have to be in caps. It could all be lowercase letters at gmail.com. Welcome to the wild world of music, TV, and television, land of glitter, glamour, and oops moments stars wish you would stay buried and you would forget. Coda. Yes, one of our favorite morning, hosts, Coda. Yeah, you shouldn't be surprised by this. She said, "I'm extremely saddened the attack happened on my second home, New Orleans." She then finished a full glass of wine before walking onto the set. Yes, this all happened beforehand. And it just happened to be covered by another news outlet who was there to interview both of the hosts afterwards about an ongoing documentary they're doing about news and morning programs. They'd already interviewed earlier in the day Fox News and the hosts, all the Fox News hosts, and then they were supposed to be there, and then they have other morning shows that they're supposed to go to interview. But she downed an entire glass of wine and then said she was sorry that this happened to her second home, New Orleans. But it was all caught on video. Next, Fred Kearney, that stupid button is over the top of it. I can't move it. Olympic sprinter and model and spokesman decided to make a complete ass of himself during a traffic stop this past week. Got loud, refused to listen to officer, pulled away from them. So they zapped his ass, and he fell to the ground where he was then, arrested for, the altercation. And then, afterwards, immediately before the body cam footage and dash cam footage came out, he immediately, through a spokesman, started calling for, that he was racially profiled and that, and that there were other things that the officers did and he never did anything wrong. Now, I cannot say that is an official statement from him or his spokesman, but it's someone who has made public, announcements and social media posts for him in the past. But yeah, if you act a fool, you should not be surprised when the cops, take the, things to the limit. Good thing it didn't happen in the state of Ohio, because he'd have to pay $750 to get that copy of that, to watch himself being a complete ass to the officers. Serial killer corner. You will die to get away. News from around the world regarding the investigations into serial killings. old Rex Huberman. It has now come out and confirmed what we had already knew. Rex wasn't the brightest crayon in the box. The FBI found a file on his home computer that was seized that contained a step-by-step blueprint on how to commit multiple murders. Yes, good old Rex, decided that this would be the best idea. Let's save a file on all of my murders and how to get away with each and every one, of the crimes. He saved this on his computer. According to guards who are aiding the FBI and keeping an eye on the poor old Rex, he is getting along all by himself for security reasons. He's in a pod by himself. The pod that he is in would normally house 4 inmates. Sometimes it's used as a medical pod, and other times it's used for psychiatric hold patients, but it's only a 4-man pod. But he is currently being housed by himself for security reasons. But the guard who spoke said that he just sits and eats, he watches TV, he reads, and he plays chess with one of the other guards occasionally. Not every day, but occasionally. But he's getting along all by himself. He's not, on a hunger strike, like some others, who are trying to act like they're insane. No, well, good old Rex is just like, hey, this is what I'm doing. All right, make the best of it. Fake or real? Can you uncover the real news story? It's harder than you might think. I'll present you a selection of 3 stories from the news from the internet. Only one is true. Your challenge is to identify which one. Again, you do not have to tell me which one is fake or which ones are fake. Just tell me 1, 2, or 3, whichever you believe is the real story. Story number 1. For the first time in over 12 years, SantaCon went off without too many arrests or drunken Santas urinating in the streets. This year, 2024, only seen a total of 5 arrests, 23 tickets, which is less than 20% of 2023. What were the tickets supposedly for? If this is the real story, they would have been for public urination, littering, and such things like that. That's what the tickets would have been for. But only 5 arrests this time around. Is this the real story, or is this one fake? No more bowl. It's official. No football team can use a live bull as their team mascot in the state of Texas any longer. Citing the chances that the animal could hurt someone, they have outlawed it. So basketball teams will still use them, as will golf and tennis teams. Will bring a live bull to their high school and college sporting events as their mascot. But no football team is allowed to bring a live bull anymore as their team mascot to a sporting event. Is this story real, or is it fake? Story number 3. It's a bird. No, it's a plane. A spokesman from the FBI misspoke during a press conference and said, "We believe the drones are actually UFOs," end quote. When she should have said this past week at the press conference, "We actually don't know if they are UFOs or who is behind the drone flights." Is this the real story, or is this a fake story? Which one is real? Story number 1, story number 2, or story number 3? Which one do you think is the real story? Story number 1, 2, or 3? One of them is real and the others are fake. Smoke them if you got them. 1, 2, or 3. Sig, Gemma, Kitty Q, and Pippadot are all going with story number 3. Believe that that is the real story. One minute, 20 seconds left. And then I tell you the answer. Callie Lisa, good morning. Welcome to this morning's Page 2 News. "20 seconds left. Ten, 9, 8, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. The real story is story number 1, SantaCon. Less than 20% of police involvement as opposed to 2023. For the first time in over 12 years, they didn't have to load up the entire jail system full of Santa Clauses or people dressed in Santa suits. They don't understand why. The same amount of people showed up, but maybe the message got through to people. Hey, if you're coming to SantaCon, you can't go pissing all over the damn sidewalks. You can't go around acting like a drunken a-hole for the next, couple of hours while we're here for SantaCon. But this is men, women who dress up as Santa Claus and attend the SantaCon every year. In case you're wondering, there are 3 separate SantaCons across the United States. One is held in San Diego, one is held in Chicago, and one is held in New York City, in downtown New York. And all 3 of them, they're looking at the total number of them all, was 20% of interactions with police, arrests, and other tickets, as opposed to 2023. So maybe there is a slight hope for society after all. These are the sources, the links to all of the stuff that's covered today. Tomorrow night for trivia. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, it's about time that we do it. We are doing trivia on the Jersey Shore TV show. It has been the butt of jokes here on my program for quite a few probably about 2 years, the Jersey Shore jokes. But we are going to do trivia on the crimes and drama of the Jersey Shore tomorrow night. Sunday night, again, that is at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock on the East Coast, Eastern Time of the United States. We do this every Sunday. Write a Post-it note, stick it next to your device in case you don't hit that bell icon and it does not notify you. Every Sunday. But the Jersey Shore. And trust me, after completing the trivia night on the Jersey Shore, I feel just a little dumber than I was before I had to put it all together. It's mind-numbing just how many dumb things these people have, this cast of the show and all the spin-offs have been, and people still tuned in every single episode to watch it. And yes, unfortunately, to answer your question, I officially have now seen not one, but a total of 6 episodes of the Jersey Shore. I now know what the show is all about. Who are the main characters? And everything about them that I should know, I learned in 6 episodes, because I'm sure in the next 6 and the next 6 and the next 6 after that, they've just repeated the same mind-numbing things that they have been doing. But people tune in because they want to watch the drama. And they are all still stars. But the Jersey Shore is tomorrow night's trivia. If you want to go down that rabbit hole and start, reading up on the Jersey Shore, you go right ahead and do it. Now, and for all those people out there that, might be, angrily typing away on their keyboard right now, that I am some kind of, monster or an a-hole for making fun of their favorite TV show and the people who are on the Jersey Shore, 100% of all the trivia questions that are on tomorrow night's trivia are factually supported. Not only, it's not my opinion about them, these are actual crimes that they've all committed, and every one of them has their hands that are dirty. Every single one, even the minor members and people who have been on like the spin-offs, they all have dirty hands. They've all committed crimes, is what I mean. If you can't sit back and look at it and laugh at the fact that these people have had over 6 seasons of the original show, and they made so much money per person for being on the show, you have to look at it and say to yourself, maybe reality TV sucks. Maybe, this is not real life, and people shouldn't act this way. But I'm sorry if you really enjoyed the show, this, or the spin-offs, because there's more coming. Oh yeah, there's more coming. But that's tomorrow night's trivia. If you don't appreciate the work that I have to put in for the trivia nights, you really should appreciate tomorrow's, because it was probably one of the harder ones that I've ever had to do. Because I would sit here and read about this stuff and document it, and I'd have to look up other people who were just as mind-numbing, as the person I was looking up and getting the information on to document it. Yeah, I had to delete my internet history. I don't want these people to ever come back from a cookie that I was looking for them. The worst cooks in America. There are, and I'm not joking. All right, let me get my notes out here. This is all my notes on the Jersey Shore. Where is it? Backward. There are 2 spin-offs, additional, besides the ones they already had, that are in the early stages of possibly coming out on MTV, and another network is looking at them. One is just going to focus on the life of Mike the Situation Sorrentino, and the other one is looking at a spin-off of Vinny Guadagnino, or however you pronounce his last name. Two more are out there in the works right now. Well, thank you, Gemma. I appreciate that. Yeah. So maybe the Jersey Shore is kind of like one of those shows that's just never ever going to go away. Maybe they'll just keep on making it, and 25 seasons from now, when they're all multi-millionaires from what they've earned from the show, maybe they can start buying like Trump Palace, Taj Mahal or something. I don't know, and turn it into a casino. You never know what they're going to do next, and that's true, absolutely true. They're going to get drunk. They're going to act a fool, and they're going to badmouth somebody else and cause drama, that talk about somebody else behind their back who's not there, obviously, or they're going to talk bad about them to their face and in a confrontational way, And this is what fuels the next episode and just keeps on going. If you watched like the first 6 episodes of the first season, you know exactly what season 6 looks like, and the spin-offs, the Jersey Shore Vacation, the Wow and Snooki, show. You know what they're all like, because if you saw it in the first season, it's in the 6th season, it's in the spin-offs. You don't want to, Pippadot. Trust me, you don't want to. I actually had to find somebody who had the DVD box set. I had to borrow it to watch it because I could not find one online that of episodes of it that is not heavily edited or does not have like a lot of like advertisement in. I want to just watch it so I could kind of get the flow of how they were edited and put together, originally. So I had to find somebody with the box set. And unfortunately, the person I found who actually had them, they had the collector's edition. It all comes in a really nice tin with a book. I'm like, what the hell? But hey, I was able to borrow it for a week while I sat and watched, these episodes, from the first. I picked the first couple in the middle of the run, and then some towards the end, the 6th season, and then I watched a couple of the one of the Jersey Shore Vacation, and one of Snooki and Wow show. But I hope you all join me tomorrow for trivia night. Again, that's at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock Eastern. Bunch of drunk idiots. Well, it was hard to find an episode where they weren't. I mean, like I said, I randomly picked one from the beginning, one in the middle of all the seasons, and then towards the end, and then the spin-offs. I couldn't find any where they weren't drinking. They were all drinking at some point. Didn't matter what they were doing, even if alcohol would not normally be associated with it. Going to the bathroom. Let's pour a glass of wine. I don't know about you, but whenever I use the bathroom, I don't always associate with I got to pour a glass of wine before I go, and then take the wine with me. Okay, I got to do my makeup. I better get a glass of wine. I'm going to go to the DMV. I better get myself a double scotch. I'm going for a walk because I need to exercise. I better have a couple of drinks before I go. So, in a nutshell, I just gave away the entire 6 seasons plus the spinoffs from what I just said. I've seen almost all the originals, not too many of the spinoffs. Not my fault. My husband's always watched it. Kiddiku, it's kind of like watching, after what I watched, it's like watching a slow train wreck is the best way I can put it with every single member of the show. It's like watching a slow train wreck. You just know it's not going to work out. Whatever they're planning, whatever they're going to do is not going to work out. And the fighting, the violence, the drunkenness, everything. It's just like watching a slowly moving train wreck. You see the trains coming at each other, and then slowly but surely they get to each other, but over and over again. So I can understand why people would watch it in that aspect. It's like, well, what do you think this person's going to do next? Not that one. That'll be this one. I had to actually write down their names so I could actually keep them track. of who they are and all their nicknames. Nicole Snooky Polizzi, Mike the Situation Sorrentino, Jenny J. Wall Farley, Polly DeFecchio, Polly D, Vinny Guardino, Ronnie Ortiz Margot, Sammy Sweetheart Gina Cola, Angelina Parnicki, Dina Nicole Cortezi, Joey Cam Asta, I think that's how you pronounce it, Chris Buckner, Laura Pesky Sorrentino, Jenna Harley, Zach Clayton Capranello. Those are the people who are on the main characters on the show, plus a couple of the spin-offs. Some of them were there in the spin-off, and some of them weren't. Only thing I know is GTL means Gym, Cans, and Laundry. Never watched it, says Gemma. I'm not interested in programs like that. I find it confusing. But it ain't hard to follow this one. You see someone walk into a house, they pull up in the driveway, they walk into the house, it's all filmed, and as soon as they get inside the house, they beeline to the kitchen for alcohol. Or they're met at the door. In some cases, they're met at the door and given alcohol. It's not hard to follow. The hardest part is to figuring out why they're doing it. But anyway, good morning, Inner Peas. Late? What? Well, you're more on time than those who are not here. But I'm glad you could be here anyways. Well, once I'm done with the Jersey Shore, because I've already made fun of Barry Morphew, and we did trivia on him, and now we did the Jersey Shore, the two that we mainly make inside jokes about, Barry Morphew lying. I don't know of anybody where I can get a Hugo reference in on. I've been looking for some kind of criminal that committed crimes from a Hugo, but I can't find any. Not yet. I'm still looking though. If I can find a criminal who drove a Hugo or committed crimes with a Hugo, we might do trivia night on that. But this wrapping up the Jersey Shore and the inside jokes. And I figured it's first one of the year. Maybe somebody who's a real fan of the Jersey Shore will tune in and say, "Hey, I like the Jersey Shore," and they'll watch. Maybe they'll take part, and they know everything about the Jersey Shore. So we'll see. And then next week we can get back to other criminals, serial killers, or whatever it might be for next week's trivia. Inner Peas guess the trivia tomorrow. Well, I guess we're all going to copy off of Kitty Coo tomorrow because Kitty Coo has seen almost all of the originals. So, not many of the spin-offs. So keep that in mind for tomorrow night's trivia. It is. Inner Peas, we are doing trivia on the Jersey Shore TV show. Crimes and the drama of the show, TV show, Jersey Shore. mainly focused on the first 6 seasons of the show. There are some questions that are pertain to the spin-offs, like the Jersey Shore Vacation and Snooki and JWoww. It was a spin-off show. And there are 2 additional ones that are in the early stages, I guess, of possibly coming out, along with more episodes of the original. In case I forgot to mention that, they have been in talks to in the past about bringing back and continuing on with the Jersey Shore, the original show and cast. But what I found on Entertainment Tonight was the 2 spin-offs. One with featuring just Mike the Situation, and the other one his friend. I'd have to get the note out again, but you thinking about lemon pie? No Go, You Go, a history of the worst car in the history of the world. You could just do Yugo history. It's a crime in itself, says Kitty Coo. I knew somebody who actually had a Yugo. And when she bought her Yugo, it wasn't actually that bad of a car. Now, yeah, this is like the mid 1980s when she bought hers. It had about the same quality and space as a Volkswagen Rabbit. In case you remember the 1980s Volkswagen Rabbits, it had about the same build quality. I mean, her Yugo didn't have it. She bought it brand new. It didn't come with a stereo, and it was like half of the price, brand new, of a brand new Volkswagen Rabbit. And she never had any problems with it originally. Now, down the road, she did. She was driving down the road one day, and one of the fenders fell off the car. It wasn't rusted off the car. It just all the bolts came loose, and it just fell off while she was driving down the road. I remember she came over to my friend's house, and she stopped and picked it up. Luckily, I didn't get ran over, but she came over and she had it in the back of the car. And she's like, "Can you guys help me put this back on?" And we're like, "Where the hell are the bolts?" It fell off the car. The front fender was, I think it was the passenger front fender fell off of the car. And then she had problems with the door handles broke off on each, inside door handles on each side, driver's and passenger door. So you had to grab it by the window seal to actually close the door, because where it actually attached the door, the bolts that were welded in there have all broke loose. I mean, the quality definitely showed up later on, but when it was brand new, it was the same quality as a Volkswagen Rabbit. It had about the same amount of room, got about the same gas mileage. Oh, where is Reichardt at these days? Did he say? Oh, you're driving through Missouri, headed to Virginia, listening in. It's freezing and windy. Well, you stay safe out there, Reichardt. Excuse me. My aunt had her Nova parked in front of my grand's downtown St. Louis. A guy bumped into her car with a new Yugo and totaled it. She had a small dent in the back bumper. I had when Chevy first came out with the Metro, I had a Metro, and I ran into my boss. He had an Audi 5000, and I still to this day, and I never was able to get an actual real answer out of the guy. But we were driving along on a road. It was 45 miles an hour, and he came to a complete dead stop at a green light. Boom! I hit his car. I totaled my car, and all it did was scratch the bottom side of the bumper where you couldn't even see it. Didn't do anything else to the car. Didn't hurt him or his passenger. Totaled my car. I mean, it folded the windshield up and then into the hood up into the windshield, both fenders, radiator was busted. And I'm sitting there and I pushed it off of the thing into like this shopping plaza. And then the cop showed up to take an accident report because I called them because I had insurance. I needed an accident report. And they could not believe that the person that I hit drove off. And then I had to explain to them, I hit my boss. And they're like, why'd your boss leave? And I'm like, I have no idea why he left. When I finally saw him later on, I think it was like that was like on a Thursday or Friday. I saw him like on Monday or Tuesday next week. And I'm like, why'd you leave? He gave me a half-ass answer. And I was just like, that doesn't make any sense. You left me there. I was stranded there. They towed my car, to a tow yard. Insurance totaled the car out and cut me a check. I think I went and bought a Ford Taurus, brand new Ford Taurus back then. Burgundy. It was burgundy in color. Burgundy with tan interior. Might have been the SHO version of the Taurus. Because I had a couple of them. So I can't remember exactly which one I bought first. Google says John Gotti was known for driving a Yugo. Was he? Oh, there you go, Will. John Gotti drove a Yugo. Courtesy of Sprinkle Donut. I'll have to look into that Sprinkle Donut. I know he was a big fan of Cadillac. I know that. And I've got a whole file full of photos from when I did trivia night on Gotti. Of just him getting in and out of Cadillacs and Lincolns at the Union Hall. I don't remember him a picture of him in a Yugo, but I mean, I'm not saying it didn't happen. Maybe he was. Maybe it was just Lincoln, town cars and Cadillacs were, the prestige thing to, be seen getting out of back then. And in his spare time at home, he had a whole fleet of Yugos for all I know. My friend grew up with called the Yugo a lick 'em and stick 'em car. Yeah, my friend, back to that Yugo quickly. My friend ended up totaling that car. She ran into like a telephone pole or one of those light poles that holds the street lights things. She ran into it. It wasn't like she wasn't drunk or something like that. She hit like black ice and spun out and totaled the car. She eventually, I think, her next car after that was a Chevy, not a Citation, but it was a 4-door, the ugliest freaking yellow and tan interior. But it was economical, When you're young like that, you're not thinking that, you want a Nova. I mean, just about every boy probably thought about, getting a Nova, or something like that, some kind of muscle car. But I mean, if you're going to college and you are just out of high school or in high school in that age group there, like 17, 16 to 21, you ain't thinking about, hey, I'm going to drop 50,000 on a Nova, or build out myself a street rod. You're thinking about, I got to get back and forth to work. $1,000 gets you a car, that's in decent shape back then. Not anymore. $1,000 car is those heaters with a beater with a heater. Cars, as we used to call them back home. $500 you could buy yourself, something like that had we called Minnesota Gold. All the rust on it, called it Minnesota Gold. $500 you can get yourself, like a Chevy S10 or an old Chevy pickup or station wagon. It didn't matter. It could be that or a Pinto even, or a Vega for $500, and they would get you around. Your brother had a shady friend growing up, and we'd say your friend drives a hearse. My brother said, no, it's a Cadillac station wagon. Who was it? There've been a couple of them out there. I'm trying to think. I knew somebody who actually had. He had a It wasn't a hearse, like for funerary, like that, but it was like a wagon that the coroner used to use, like a station wagon. It was like I want to say like 76, like Chevy Caprice station wagon, but it had no back seats, didn't have the rumble seat. It was just a solid metal floor, and it had the two metal tracks that were in it for loading the stretcher on. But it used to be a coroner's wagon, but it was perfect. We took all the metal tracks out of it, and it was perfect for hauling around band equipment. I mean, room for days in those cars. They don't make cars like that anymore. The Munsters drove a hearse. Yeah. Grandpa drove a hot rod. I'm trying to remember who designed that hot rod that Grandpa drove in real life. The Ratfink guy, I think is the guy who designed it. But anyways, or it was the Addams family. Dun 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 dun. Gomez Addams and Morticia. That was back when Elvira was still around, and she used to do her Halloween specials. Elvira's, Halloween specials. I gotta look that up. I'm driving me nuts. Tom Daniel. It was called the Dragula. Grandpa Munster's car in the 1960s television show. He designed it along with George Barris of Barris Custom Industries. There's your answer. The Dragula. Drag you la. Calling it a Hearst all my life, like Patty Hearst. Well, Patty Hearst, what Lebanese National Army. Patty Hearst. You learn something new every day. Will must be on top chat. I'm on live chat. I have no options to change from live chat to top chat to all chat. I don't have that option because I'm the streamer. I see them as they come in. They may be out of order when they come in, but that's me because of delays. But I'm the streamer, so I can't change that. Not on my streaming software. I'm just glad we got it fixed and it works now. We still have no idea what we did that actually fixed it. And that's scary to us. It really is. Because the same issue that I had, my wife has had. If anybody tuned in yesterday and watched my wife's, I'm going to put her YouTube name on. Now she could not get YouTube to work, and I'm going to explain that in just a second. But okay, so that is my wife's YouTube channel name, Teal Ocelot 11. NRPs or anybody else who may have seen her stream before, the old Teal Ocelot, my son took over. So that is actually his channel now, but he actually then deleted it. And we're trying to get YouTube to give it back, but we have to wait 14 days before they'll actually restore it. But anyways, so my wife was using the same software the other day on Friday and trying to stream, and it would not connect to YouTube. The same issues that I had with trying to connect and the chat not showing up and certain features not showing up at all, or you could see them and then they were grayed out so you couldn't click on them to actually turn them on or off. She had the same issue, and we still have no idea what's causing it. We likewise, we don't know what we did to actually fix it on my end. But my wife streams, in case you want to join, give her a subscribe, whatever, and watch her stream. She does it on Fridays between 8:30 and 10:30 or 10. It's going to be in that time frame, and she plays a game called Project Zomboy, like zombies. It's a zombie video game. That's what she does, and she chats with people as she's playing the game. You can just tune in and watch her play. You don't actually see her; you see an avatar. But yeah, but she started yesterday. And good morning, Gayla. Creator George Barris designed and built the Dragula in his shop using fiberglass coffin, a Ford Mustang V8, and a 2-frame chassis. Thank you, Kiddiku. Yeah, that's what. All right, so Google says it was George Barris did it along with Tom Daniel. Designed the 1960s television show car for Grandpa on the Munsters. At Barris Customs Industries. Barris was a legendary car designer, builder, and also the designer of the Munster coach. It had in 1964, the car with fiberglass coffin body, a 289 350 horsepower Ford V8 engine on a plexiglass cockpit. Tom Daniel designed the car while Barris and his crew built the car at Barris Customs, California. Inspiration for the car. The car was inspired by a drag racing episode where Eddie Munster loses a race to his friend's father, and Grandpa Munster builds the Dragula to win a rematch. I went to the George. I can remember the Rat Fink. It was the first thing that came to my mind, and then I was like Barris, but I could not remember the first name. So that's what started me down that road. So then I went to the Barris actual website, and then I typed in Munster car, and I just read you like the first part of the the background history of the car. But it's a pretty cool car altogether. There are a lot of iconic movie cars out there from television shows that we all may have grown up and seen that have vanished over the years. The original cars, nobody knows where they were because nobody ever thought that they'd be collectible. Maybe they were in a movie or a television series, and then after that, the movie studios were like, well, we don't want to keep all this shit around, so they just got rid of it. In case in point, the cars from the Dukes of Hazzard. a lot of the original and stunt cars for like the Dukes of Hazzard, the General Lee, they wrecked so many of them. And then once they wrecked them, either by crashing them over a jump, and then the front end was all mangled, did they think in 40 years, 50 years down the road that those cars would be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars, restored and original? No, they just got rid of them for scrap value or sold them off to people in lots. Some of them end up in the deserts of Arizona and New Mexico, and others ended up crushed and scrapped and probably turned into beer cans by now, if not something else. But it happened to a lot of shows, the iconic cars from them. And I read a story about the original Starsky and Hutch, car. That they actually had not one make and model of car, but they had two different make and models of cars that Starsky and Hutch used. In case you don't remember the Starsky and Hutch car, red with the white stripe that went up and then over the roof, the Starsky and Hutch car. They had multiples of the backups of it. They didn't care. In the movie Christine, they ran out of cars, to actually destroy in the movie, making of the movie Christine. So they used multiple different makes and models, and they would just show them from inside the car or outside the car, for whatever the scene called. And they just got rid of those cars. But they kept the VIN numbers, documents of the, what VIN numbers of cars. Then they're out there somewhere. Well, you would think, you hope. But nobody thought in 40 or 50 years down the road, collectors are going to retire, from their lives, raising their kids and stuff, and they're going to have that disposable money and would want to spend it on buying one of the original General Lees and fixing it up. But oh yeah, definitely stay inside, Gayla. Get well. Have your hubby take care of you. Sorry you're not feeling well. You can barely speak, so your hubby is happy. Oh, I think just about every married couple, says things like that or jokes around things like that. But when it hits the fan, you can add in the rest of that. But when it hits the fan, we really do care. An amazing collection of 230 classic cars discovered in hidden barn find. Check this out. Oh, your hubby is on duty until tonight? 230 classic cars hidden in a barn. There's a guy that he's got a YouTube channel. That's all he does. Is he tracks the cars that he finds, and then he tracks them all the way through Barrett Jackson, and everything else. It's kind of like a history buff, kind of like one of those shows where he goes out and finds barn finds. You never know what's out there. I mean, I know where a 1965 Buick Wildcat is, sitting in a barn up on concrete blocks. If I were there, I'd make you soup, says Inner Peace. Oh, that's really nice of you. Among the cars listed are Jaguars, Alfa Romeo, Chevys, Versys, Dillards, BMWs, Aston Martins, and more. That sounds like a heck of a barn find. We got a guy that lives a town over from me, Kiddick. His entire backyard is, we're talking a couple acres, is just cars. And they've been there since I was in high school, and none of them move, and nor will he sell any of them. But the road is actually up and above, so you look down off of one side, off over the other side of the railing, obviously, railing there. But if you pull up and stop, you look over the railing down at his backyard, he's got maybe 50 or 60 classic cars in his backyard. Everything from like the original Firebirds and Trans Ams to 1950s, two door, hot rods. Some of them were done up and completed, and then they're just sitting out there just rotting away. We've talked to him in the past. He used to, there used to be there still is, but we used to go to a swap meet every year. About halfway across the state from me when I was in high school. And he would show up every year there, and he'd be buying more and more parts, for cars and for projects. He'd finish a project or get it to a state where he couldn't find parts anymore. He'd roll it out of his garage into the backyard, and that just kept on happening. And then he'd bring another project in, work on it until he couldn't anymore because he couldn't find the parts for it, and roll it back out. And then eventually, I think he just stopped doing it. He wasn't able to find parts for some of these cars, but they're all out there. And then there's a place in Washington State here that is just outside of Grandview, Washington. And this entire place is nothing but hundreds, and I mean hundreds, of Model T and Model A Fords. They're all rust. There is no paint left on them at all, but they've been sitting out there in the desert on this guy's property, and he won't let you get anywhere near them to even look at them. And he's very well known to the people. He's like in his 70s now, probably 80s. But he's just an ornery old man who walks around with a shotgun every day. And he will protect that property. But he won't sell anything, won't let anybody even look at the stuff. You can see it all from the road. God knows nobody knows what the hell he has inside them. He has two massive garages on the property that sit off a ways back from the road. But you can see they've got probably six different garage door bays. So 12 total in each, 6 and 6. So he probably has 12 really good collectible cars in there, but nobody knows. Has anyone been to Count's Customs in Las Vegas? He has an awesome hearse in his custom car collection. No, but Gayla, I've seen the show or some of the episodes on YouTube. I didn't watch it on television, but I've seen the show. And then he had Horny Mike, one of his custom builders who worked under him. Horny Mike. A lot of that stuff is scripted television, though. So the cars and stuff like that interest me, but not so much the drama, and everything else. Like Richard Rawlings, and Fast and Loud. When it first started off, it was a great show. It still is an okay show, but you can't build a custom build for SEMA, to take the SEMA in like a week. Okay, good luck with that. I don't care how much money you have. You can't custom build something like that. Well, we rolled in this chassis. It's completely rotted, and we built it from the ground up in a week. Okay. Good morning, Broken Justice. I'm about to wrap this up here in a little bit, Broken Justice, but you can always watch and rewind. But I hope that you had a terrific Christmas and New Year's. I have to get going. Are you any chance you're going to go do a live this weekend, Broken Justice? I'd love to catch another live, as long as it fits with my schedule. Obviously, I can't do it tomorrow night, after 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, but if you're doing one tonight or whatever, or tomorrow morning, or tomorrow afternoon. I'd love to watch it. Hope you had a happy New Year. I did. Me and my wife went out to dinner at about 3:40ish, right, just a little bit before 4 o'clock. We went out and had dinner, and then we came home. And as soon as we got home, we got into our pajamas and then sat around and read, and then went to bed at about 10. Just long enough to make sure that our idiot neighbors didn't, burn down the neighborhood with their fireworks displays. It's insane. That's why we stay in on New Year's, because we don't want to be anywhere near the road system, once it gets dark. But all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to wrap up this morning's stream. Thank you again to everyone. And on the way out, if you will please hit that thumbs up, I would appreciate it. And if you're not a subscriber, I would hope that you would subscribe underneath this actual live stream. If it says subscribe, click on it. I mean, it's free. And you can hit the bell icon or ignore all that. You don't even have to be notified, but you can subscribe all the same. But thank you again, everyone. And I hope that you all have a terrific day. And I hope you're able to catch us, for trivia tomorrow night. We are doing the Jersey Shore television show. Yes, a little bit different from what I normally do, but it does deal with crime, of the cast members of the Jersey Shore. So that's tomorrow night at 4 p.m., 5 o'clock Mountain, 7 o'clock on the Eastern Standard Time. But again, you all have a wonderful day and stay safe out there. Bye.